In the tale of Sarah Maddox, a female veteran who threw herself in front of a bullet to shield Logan Kane, the president of the Hells Angels. A bullet slams into Sarah Maddox's side as she throws herself in front of Logan Kane, president of the Hells Angels. She hits the ground hard, gripping his vest and whispering, "Don't let them escape." Logan signals once. Engines roar like thunder. Headlights blaze, chrome flashes, and the pavement shakes as 180 Harleys surge forward. Masked attackers stagger, then raise pipes and blades, shouting threats as they try to force a path through the wall of steel and roaring machines. Bikers dismount, chains swinging, fists tightening. The clash erupts, metal against metal, bodies colliding, sparks flying as shouts echo like war cries. Criminals swing wildly, lunging in desperation. But every strike is blocked, every step driven back. The circle tightens until escape is impossible. Sarah struggles to rise, pain in her ribs, determination in her eyes. Logan stands over her, jaw set, voice like fire. "Nobody touches family. Not tonight." Will they crush the criminals here? Or has this moment already unleashed a war the city cannot contain? A bullet slams into Sarah Maddox's side the instant she throws herself across Logan Kane, the president of the Hells Angels. One moment, Logan is standing in the glow of rally lights. The next, he is driven back by her weight as she takes the hit meant for him. Her knees buckle, the pavement rises up hard, and she clutches his vest with trembling fingers. Through clenched teeth, barely a breath, she whispers, "Don't let them escape." Logan's gaze lifts from her stricken face to the masked figures pushing through the crowd, and something in him changes. He rises like steel snapping under pressure and raises his arm in a signal. The answer is instantaneous. Engines roar like a wall of thunder. Lights flare into a blaze. Chrome flashes under the night sky, and 180 Harleys surge forward in unison. The rally ground transforms in seconds. The exits vanish, and the attackers find themselves encircled by a living wall of machines. Headlights glaring into their masks, engines screaming defiance. The criminals hesitate, only a heartbeat before they lunge. Pipes swing, knives flash, shouts break across the night. The bikers meet them head-on, boots slamming against asphalt as riders dismount in disciplined lines. Chains whirl, fists tighten around iron bars and steel grips. The first clash is brutal and close, metal against metal, sparks flying as weapons collide, the ring vibrating with every strike. Axel Grant, Logan's right hand, is the first into the fray. He intercepts a masked figure trying to drive a pipe into the circle, sliding inside the arc, shoulder crashing into the man's chest. The criminal folds with a grunt, and Axel wrenches the pipe free, tossing it under a rumbling Harley. Another attacker charges with a knife, but a rider steps in, chain whipping across the man's arm with a crack, sending the blade clattering. Chaos bursts outward, screams, shouts, engines revving like war drums, the air alive with smoke and ozone. Sarah tries to rise. Pain burns through her ribs where the bullet is lodged, but her spirit won't stay down. She braces against the cold frame of a Harley, her breath sharp, her vision tilting. A young prospect kneels beside her, panic flickering in his eyes, but Sarah grabs his wrist, steadying him instead of the other way around. "Stay focused," she hisses. Even wounded, her training speaks louder than pain. Logan looms above her, jaw set, voice like a vow. "Nobody touches family. Not tonight." His words cut through the noise, a promise to her, to his men, to every enemy watching. The attackers rally again, trying to smash through the eastern gate. They sprint, pipes raised, but the bikers close the lane before they reach it. Two riders slam their shoulders into the rush, driving the men back. A chain whistles through the air and catches a mask, ripping it away to reveal fear wide in the eyes beneath. Another biker sweeps a leg, sending a figure sprawling into the dirt. Each step forward the criminal's attempt is crushed by the wall of brothers tightening around them. But one figure is different, taller, faster, his movements sharp with calculation, not panic. He slips between bodies with ruthless efficiency, cutting toward the service road. Logan spots him instantly. "The gate," he says, his voice taut with recognition. This isn't a grunt. This is Viktor Dragic, the architect of the ambush, the man who pulled the strings. Logan's eyes narrow. That's the one. Viktor doesn't waste time. He dives through a gap, rolling under the chain barrier, and is up and sprinting before anyone can grab him. Axel shouts, breaking from the fight, rallying a squad to give chase. Logan signals again. "Split the circle. Block the exits. Don't lose the runner." Engines answer once more. Harleys peeling off in pairs, tires screaming as they tear down side streets and alleyways. Radios crackle. "East lane closed. South bridge clear. Target heading Riverwood." Back at the lot, the battle rages. The remaining attackers fight with desperation, swinging wildly, trying to claw their way out. But they are outnumbered, outmaneuvered. Bikers strike with precision, hurting them like wolves corralling prey. One masked thug scrambles up a fence, but two hands seize his ankles and drag him down, slamming him flat. Another swings a chain wildly, but a biker ducks under, drives a fist into his ribs, and drops him to his knees. The asphalt is alive with scuffling boots, clashing steel, the roar of engines forming a soundtrack of fury. Sarah presses her palm hard to her side, refusing to fade. She scans the chaos, her soldier's instincts alive even through the haze. She sees the attackers falter, their formations shatter under the pressure. Good, she thinks. Break them now before they regroup. Pain pulses in her side, but her resolve burns hotter. Axel's voice cuts through the radio static. "Target moving toward the marina. Fast. He's not alone." Logan's eyes narrow. Viktor has backup waiting. This is no random strike. It's a coordinated attack meant to shake the Angels at their core. But Sarah's sacrifice has turned it into something else entirely. A line in the sand drawn in blood and fire. The rally transforms into a command post. Logan barks orders, and men move with the precision of soldiers. Civilians are ushered behind bikes, safe corridors opened, wounded guarded. Phones are seized before videos leak. This isn't content. It's war. Logan pulls his phone, dials a number he swore he'd only use in the gravest emergency. Detective Clara Ara Rhodes answers on the first ring. "Tell me this isn't what it sounds like." Logan's reply is gravel and fire. "We've got a casualty and a runner. I need eyes on the grid now." Clara Ara doesn't hesitate. "Send me positions. I'll feed you corridors." Sarah hears fragments of the call, her vision blurring, but her resolve clear. She grips Logan's vest again. "Bring him back into the light," she murmurs. Logan nods once, the vow etched deep in his bones. Engines roar as chase teams flood the streets. Axel rides point, reading the road like scripture, eyes catching every skid, every displaced scrap of gravel. 2 blocks ahead, fresh trail. Cut left at the cannery. Watch for decoys. Another voice confirms. "Bridge traffic thin. We'll cut him off." The hunt is alive, echoing through alleys and overpasses, the city itself becoming a maze closing in on Viktor. Back at the lot, the last attackers break. A final rush collapses under the biker's fists and chains. A man screams defiance, but is silenced by a knee driving him into the dirt. Another drops his weapon and surrenders, trembling. The circle stands unbroken. The angels hold their ground. Sarah's strength fades, but her eyes stay open. She sees the men she saved moving like an army. Every roar of their engines is a promise. Pain digs deeper, but she breathes through it, steady and strong. She will not be a victim. She has already chosen her place in this night, and nothing, not even the bullet in her side, can strip it from her. Rain begins to fall, misted at first, then heavier, washing smoke and sparks into the river. Logan lifts his gaze to the storm and clenches his fist. This isn't over, not until Victor is brought back. And with that vow, the city itself seems to brace because one act of sacrifice has set loose 180 bikers on the hunt. And nothing will stop them until the man who dared strike at their family is caught. Hospital lights cut through the midnight storm as engines crowd the entrance in waves. Harleys line the curb, chrome dripping with rain, exhaust hissing in the downpour. Inside, the automatic doors slide open, and a stretcher rushes past, wheels squealing on tile. Sarah Maddox lies pale but unbroken, her side bound tight with makeshift bandages, her jaw clenched against pain. Two bikers flank the gurney like bodyguards, boots heavy on the floor, leather vests soaked, but spirits unshaken. Doctors bark orders. Nurses scramble. But the weight of 180 riders pressing against the hospital walls changes everything. No one in this place dares treat her like just another patient. They see the fire in her eyes. Even as she fades, the way she grips the rails like she's holding her place in a war zone. Logan Kane paces just outside the trauma bay, rain dripping from his cut, jaw locked so tight his teeth ache. Axel Grant moves up beside him, scanning the sterile corridor with restless eyes. "She's tough. She'll hold," Axel says, but Logan doesn't answer. He stares through the glass as doctors work, his silence louder than any promise. Finally, the attending pushes through the doors, mask hanging under his chin. "The round missed anything vital. We've stabilized her. She'll need surgery soon, but she's alive." Relief spreads down the hall, but Logan doesn't soften. His eyes burn harder. Alive is not enough. Not while Victor Dragic breathes free air. He turns, water dripping from his hair, voice low but steady. He's still out there. He thinks he can disappear into this city. He thinks he can touch my family and walk away. He looks at Axel, then the riders crowding the corridor. We're going to prove him wrong. The hospital lobby transforms into a command post. Riders gather in tight knots, maps spread on tables scavenged from the waiting area. Radios crackle. Wet gloves point to choke points across the city grid. Bridge access here, service tunnels there, marina roads beyond. The voices overlap, but the energy is sharp, purposeful. Logan raises a hand, and the room stills. Split into 6 squads. North, south, east, west. Cover every artery. Victor isn't a soldier. He's a ghost. That means he'll run dark, avoid the open lanes. He'll need cover, and he'll need money. Both come from the same place. His fist slams onto the map where the river cuts the city. The docks, the warehouses, the syndicate that protects him. That's where he'll surface. Engines rumble outside as assignments fly. Squads form and peel off, their exits marked by the tremor of motorcycles shaking the glass walls. Each team has a route, a commander, and a singular purpose. Find Victor before the trail goes cold. Axel stays behind, his eyes never far from Logan. "You're not going to sit this one out, are you?" Logan smirks without humor. "You know me better than that." Before the next move, Logan pulls out his phone. One number, one call. Clara Rhodes answers on the second ring, her voice tight, weary. "You just left me a dozen unanswered messages tonight. I was hoping the silence meant peace." Logan's voice is gravel. "We were hit. Sarah Maddox took the round meant for me. We've got the shooter running. I need your eyes." A pause stretches, broken only by the hiss of rain over the line. Clara Ara exhales hard. "I warned you the city was shifting. Too much cash moving under the table. Too many favors traded. Victor Dragic isn't a freelancer. He's an enforcer for something bigger. If he's in play, the whole board is crooked." "Then help me flip it," Logan says. "Give me the cameras, the traffic feeds, the grid. My men will run the streets, but you can give them sight." Clara Ara's voice steadies. "Send me your squad's positions. I'll cut them corridors. I'll light up exits before he takes them. But listen to me, Logan. If Victor's handlers realize I'm feeding you, they'll burn me alive in my own precinct." Logan's reply is immediate. "Then we don't give them the chance. We end this fast." At the marina, rain lashes sideways as Victor slips through alleys, jacket hood pulled low, steps quick but measured. His phone vibrates once. He doesn't answer, just crushes it under his boot, shards scattering into the gutter. He knows Logan's men are everywhere now, engines echoing down every block. But fear doesn't touch him. His escape routes were carved months ago. Safe houses stocked, faces paid to look the other way. Tonight is a complication, not a failure. Back at the hospital, Sarah lies in a recovery room, machines humming, the world blurred but steady. A nurse checks her vitals, but Sarah's eyes stay open, staring at the ceiling tiles as if they hold answers. She remembers the moment, the flash, the burn, the weight of Logan's vest in her hands. She doesn't regret it. She only regrets not seeing Victor's face when the bikers turned the night into fire. Axel steps in quietly, rain still dripping off him. "You should rest." Sarah's lips twitch in something close to a smile. "Rest when he's caught." Her voice is hoarse but unyielding. "Promise me, Axel. Don't let them stop." He nods because anything else would be a lie. The storm outside grows heavier, rain slamming against windows as though the sky itself wants to wash the night clean. Logan stands under the overhang, phone pressed to his ear, Clarara's voice guiding him. "2 suspects moving north on Canal. Could be decoys. Real target cut west at the cannery. If your men push the bridge, he'll try the levee. Funnel him there." Logan signals to Axel, who relays the orders. Another wave of riders tears out of the hospital lot, engines snarling like wolves scenting prey. Clara Ara's voice tightens. "Logan, listen to me. If Victor gets across the river, you'll lose him to the grid. But if you catch him on this side..." Her voice trails off. She doesn't need to finish. Logan's eyes narrow against the rain. Then tonight, the river becomes his cage. Inside, Sarah closes her eyes for the first time since the bullet struck. But it isn't sleep. It's calculation, a soldier's rest, a mind tracing every step she knows Victor will take. Somewhere deep inside her pain, she feels certainty. He won't escape. Not with Logan's fury unleashed, not with 180 bikers hunting like a single organism, and not with Clara Ara Rhodes cutting paths through the city like a hidden hand of justice. Rain lashes the streets as Victor Dragic cuts through the city like a shadow, his stride precise. Every turn is chosen, every alley remembered. This is no blind flight. It's a plan years in the making. He ducks through a rusted chain-link break, splashes through the mud by the levee, and slips into an abandoned service tunnel, already calculating the distance to his next extraction point. Behind him, the night howls with pursuit. 180 Harleys churn across the city grid, engines echoing under bridges, headlights sweeping across rain-slick asphalt. The bikers split into squads, each lane sealed, each exit tested. They move like wolves in formation, radios crackling with updates. North Alley blocked, Marina secured, target not yet visual, stay sharp. Axel Grant leads the charge down Canal Street, water spraying off his tires as his eyes scan for signs. A skid of fresh mud, a bent fence, a track too straight to be random. He lifts his mic. He cut through the levee tunnel. He's heading for the docks. Engines rise in response, the hunt tightening, but Victor is ready. As he slips from the tunnel mouth, 3 black SUVs crawl out of the shadows. Engines low, lights dimmed. Their doors swing open, and men step out in silence, faces hard, movements rehearsed. These aren't random thugs. They're trained, armored, and paid well. Syndicate muscle sent to shield Victor's escape. The first squad of bikers barrels into the ambush without hesitation. Chains whirl, pipes swing, headlights glare. The SUVs lurch forward, trying to block the road, but Harleys don't stop easily. 2 riders vault off their seats mid-speed, landing on hoods, fists hammering glass until it spiderwebs and shatters. Another whips a chain through a window, dragging a man out into the rain. Chaos explodes, steel against steel, shouts drowned beneath engines roaring point blank. Victor doesn't stop to watch. He ducks into the dockyard, vanishing between crates stacked higher than rooftops. He pulls a flare from his jacket, snaps it to life, and drops it behind him. The crimson light hisses and burns, drawing attention like a false trail. Seconds later, half a squad breaks toward it, chasing ghosts, while Victor slides deeper into the maze. Logan Kane rides with the central pack, his eyes scanning the horizon, instinct tuned sharper than radar. The flare burns to his left, but something in his gut warns him away. He signals his men with a sharp hand. Ignore it. They veer right, splitting the chase, engines vibrating the dockyard planks. Logan knows Victor's tricks: smoke, light, distraction. But instincts built on years of leading men through ambushes keep him locked on the real trail. Victor slips into a warehouse, pushing the rusted door with a grunt. Inside, the air reeks of oil and salt, shadows stretched long across steel beams. He moves with confidence. This is no random hideout. Pallets of crates line the walls, stamped with insignias no legitimate business would claim. Contraband weapons, evidence of a syndicate's reach. But he isn't alone. Axel and his squad burst through the opposite entrance, engines cutting, boots striking as they dismount. Victor curses under his breath and sprints along the catwalk, leaping over crates as bikers swarm below. Chains fly upward, clattering against steel, forcing him to duck and roll. One rider scrambles up the stairwell, intercepting him on the catwalk. But Victor drives a shoulder into his chest, sending him crashing back down. The warehouse becomes a battleground. Fists slam into jaws. Crates splinter under boots. Sparks fly as steel clashes. Bikers move with feral precision, herding the syndicate muscle into corners. But Victor never slows. He dives through a side door, out into the storm again, lungs burning but steps steady. He's buying time, waiting for his real escape. Clara Ara Rhodes watches the grid from her precinct office, screens glowing in the dim light. Every camera she taps, Every traffic feed she scrubs, Victor slips just outside the frame. It's deliberate. "He's cutting blind spots," she mutters, frustration creeping into her tone. She keys her comm. "Logan, he's working off blueprints. He knows the city's blind spots better than I do. Someone fed him our layouts." Logan's voice grinds back through static. "Then we'll choke the spots he can't change. Keep guiding. We'll bleed him of options." The chase spills onto the industrial highway, rain slamming against helmets as bikers fan out across all lanes, headlights blazing like a living wall. Up ahead, Victor commandeers a delivery truck, pulling the driver out with a brutal shove. He slams the door, engine growling, as he guns it down the highway, trying to outpace the swarm. But the Angels match him, stride for stride. Harleys pour across the asphalt, swarming the truck like hornets. Chains smash against side mirrors. Boots kick at tires. Engines scream alongside as riders close in. Victor swerves, slamming one biker into the guardrail, sparks exploding in the dark. The rider tumbles, rolls, but another pulls him clear before the wheels take him. The pack doesn't slow. Logan pushes forward, his bike snarling as he pulls alongside the truck. He locks eyes with Victor through the rain-streaked glass. For the first time, Victor falters. This isn't prey chasing predator. This is inevitability closing in. Victor jerks the wheel, trying to smash Logan into the barrier, but Axel's squad cuts in, slamming chains into the truck's windshield until cracks spiderweb across it. Victor curses, swerves hard, and barrels the truck into an underpass. Bikers flood after him, engines howling as the storm drowns the night in thunder and steel. At the far end of the underpass, headlights explode into view. Another line of SUVs blocking the exit. Syndicate backup. Victor slams the horn and barrels straight through, SUVs scattering as bikers pour into them. Chains whip, fists crash, and riders leap onto hoods mid-motion, tearing doors open as the truck bursts into the night beyond. But the maneuver costs Victor. The truck sputters, radiator hissing steam, engine choking under the abuse. He curses, abandons it, and vanishes once more into the labyrinth of warehouses. Clara Ara's voice crackles through Logan's earpiece. "He's running to Pier 17. That's where his real escape waits. I'm pulling satellite now. You'll see it before I do." Logan throttles forward, eyes locked ahead. "Then that's where we end this." The bikers rally, engines echoing like war drums as they converge on the pier. Victor runs along the slick boards, the water black and endless beside him. Ahead, a yacht waits, engines humming, lights dim, figures moving on deck. Syndicate allies, armed and waiting. Victor sprints for the gangplank, but the roar behind him grows louder. 180 Harleys flood the pier, headlights blazing, engines screaming, the weight of vengeance bearing down. For the first time, Victor glances back and sees not chaos, but order, not rage, but resolve, and his confidence flickers. Detective Clara Ara Rhodes slams her office door against the storm and walks straight into the precinct's command center. Screens glow with feeds from traffic cams and satellites, each showing fragments of chaos. Motorcycles swarming the pier, syndicate SUVs scattered like toys, Victor Dragic sprinting for cover. Every officer in the room turns as she strides in, soaked trench coat dripping onto the tiles, eyes cold with purpose. "Pull every feed from the docks," she orders. "Lock onto Pier 17. Her voice carries a weight that silences the room. Texts scramble, fingers flying across keyboards, grainy footage resolving into a scene of violence. Riders encircling the pier, Victor darting like a hunted animal, shadows moving on the yacht, waiting at the end. Clara Ara leans closer, studying every detail. She doesn't just see men on a boat. She sees posture, discipline, coordination. These aren't smugglers or small-time thugs. They move like trained operatives, protecting something bigger than Victor. Her stomach turns cold. She grabs her phone, dialing Logan Kane. He answers over the roar of engines. "We've got him pinned to the pier," Logan says. Clarara's tone cuts him short. "No, you've got him exactly where they want him. Look at the boat. That's not an escape. It's a handoff." Logan's eyes flick toward the vessel, engines idling low, silhouettes shifting across the deck, his jaw tightening. "Then who the hell are they?" Clarara's silence is heavy. Then she speaks. "Syndicate cover. Victor's just the point man. The one giving orders is still in the shadows." On the pier, the clash intensifies. Bikers surge forward, cutting Victor off from the gangplank. Chains snap through the rain. Fists slam into steel. Bodies hit the boards. Victor fights like a cornered wolf, but even he knows his strength means nothing against a tide of 180 riders. Still, he isn't panicked. He is waiting. From the yacht, a flare arcs high into the sky, painting the storm crimson. The signal. Suddenly, the air fills with sound, tires screaming, more SUVs bursting from side alleys, gunmetal shapes sliding into position at the waterfront. The syndicate has been waiting, biding their time, ready to bleed the night into submission. Clarara sees it unfolding on her screens before Logan can feel the ground shake. She speaks into the phone, sharp and fast. "It's a trap. They're not here to pull him out. They're here to crush you. Pull your squads back now." But Logan's voice is iron. "We don't back up. Not tonight." He raises his arm, and the bikers close ranks, headlights flaring brighter, engines revving into a unified roar. The pier itself trembles under the weight of resolve. Axel skids his Harley to Logan's side. "We've got 24 more moving in. We can't hold them with brute force alone." Logan's gaze stays fixed on Victor, rain streaming down his face. "Then we don't fight with brute force. We fight with everything else we've got." The battle explodes. Syndicate SUVs ram the barricades, doors flying open as armored men pour out. The bikers meet them in waves, steel chains cracking against armor, boots hammering into ribs, the pier vibrating like a battlefield in full collapse. Victor darts through the melee, sprinting for the yacht again, using the chaos as cover. Clarara curses under her breath, grabbing her coat. She turns to the stunned officers frozen by the sight of bikers waging war on their screens. "You sit here and watch, or you follow me, and stop a war swallowing this city whole." Without waiting, she storms out, her badge gleaming in the flicker of red alarms. Minutes later, her unmarked car screeches onto the waterfront, sirens silent, headlights off. She steps into the storm, trench coat whipping, service pistol drawn low at her side. But she isn't here to squeeze a trigger. She is here to uncover the truth. She pushes into the pier as engines roar around her, bikers and syndicate soldiers locked in combat. She ducks under a swinging pipe, shoves past a Harley skidding sideways, and spots Victor halfway up the gangplank. "Victor!" she shouts, her voice cutting like glass. For a second he freezes, head snapping toward her, rain plastering his mask to his face. But his eyes gleam with something like triumph. Clarara raises her badge high. "You think you're the player here? You're just the piece they move." Logan swings his head toward her voice, eyes narrowing. "What do you mean?" Clarara shouts over the storm. "Victor isn't calling the shots. He's the decoy. The syndicate wanted you here, wanted all of us here. The man behind this doesn't wear a mask. He wears a suit." The words land like thunder. Logan realizes it then. The endless SUVs, the yacht stocked and ready, the flawless timing of the ambush. This isn't Victor's plan. It is infrastructure, resources, logistics beyond his reach. Victor isn't the mastermind. He is bait. Victor's smirk spreads even as chains lash around his arms, bikers dragging him down before he reaches the yacht. He spits rain and words with equal venom. You think you've won? You've only stepped onto the board. The one you really want doesn't bleed in the streets. The yacht engines rev to life, beginning to pull away. On deck, a tall figure stands, face hidden under the brim of a hat, posture calm amid chaos. Clara Ara's eyes lock on him, her gut twisting. She knows that silhouette. Victor Hayes, she breathes, voice trembling. No, it can't be. Logan hears her confusion slicing through the storm. Who? Clara Ara's eyes never leave the retreating yacht. Hayes, the financier, the one who owns half this city's contracts. He's the syndicate's spine. Victor is just his teeth. As the yacht vanishes into the rain, Clara Ara holsters her pistol and turns to Logan. You want Dragic? Take him. But if you want the war to end, you have to tear down the man behind him, and Hayes won't come quietly. Logan's men bind Victor in chains, dragging him across the pier. He doesn't fight. He laughs, wet and broken, his teeth flashing in the storm. You think bikers and badges can take down Hayes? You're already playing his game, and he never loses. Logan's voice is fire, low and certain. Then he hasn't met us yet. The rain thickens, drowning the sounds of sirens rising from the city. The night has changed shape again. What began as vengeance for a single bullet has become something larger. A war with a syndicate that doesn't fear shadows because it owns the light. And as Clara Ara Rhodes stands beside the Hells Angels president, soaked, furious, and resolute, the line between outlaw and law blurs into one truth. They aren't hunting just a shooter anymore. They are hunting the power that owns him. And the city, whether ready or not, is about to burn. The steady beeping of monitors is the first sound Sarah registers when she claws her way back to consciousness. The antiseptic sting of hospital air follows, then the weight of her own body, heavy and uncooperative. Pain radiates from her side in hot pulses, each breath dragging across her ribs like glass. She blinks against the dim light, and slowly the world sharpens into focus. The sterile white ceiling, the IV line taped to her arm, the shadow of a figure seated in the chair by her bed. It is Axel Grant, his leather vest streaked with dried rain, his boots still damp. He looks like he hasn't moved in hours, but his eyes stay sharp the second she stirs. He leans forward, relief flickering across his face. Welcome back, soldier. Her lips crack into a faint smile. I didn't think you believed in hospitals. I don't, Axel says flatly. But you didn't give us much choice. Sarah shifts, a hiss breaking from her throat. She presses her hand against her bandaged side, feeling the ache throb beneath the gauze. Logan, she whispers. Alive, Axel says. Because of you. For a long moment, silence hangs heavy between them. Then Axel leans closer, voice dropping low. He's out there right now. The men, too. They've turned the city inside out, looking for Dragic. Sarah's breath hitches. The image fills her mind. Engines roaring through rain-soaked streets, headlights cutting through dark alleys, the thunder of 180 Harleys chasing the man who put her in this bed. They aren't just fighting for Logan. They are fighting for her. The thought should bring comfort, but instead, it lights something fierce in her chest. Her jaw sets. Then I can't stay here. Axel's brow furrows. You're stitched up, barely breathing, and the only reason the doctor hasn't strapped you down is because I promised you wouldn't be stupid. I'm not being stupid, Sarah says, her voice gaining strength. I'm being me. She tries to push herself upright, the IV tugging at her arm, pain arcing across her side. Axel reaches out to steady her, but she shoves his hand away. Don't treat me like a victim. I chose to stand in front of Logan. I chose to take that bullet, and I'll choose what happens next. Axel sighs, dragging a hand across his face. Sarah, listen to me. We've got Dragic in chains. Logan's men hauled him in from the pier last night. He's locked down tight. Her eyes snap to his, a blaze sparking to life. Then take me to him. Axel shakes his head. No, Logan won't allow it. You're supposed to heal. Logan doesn't own me, she shoots back, voice trembling with conviction. That man tried to tear my life apart. He aimed at Logan, but he hit me. And if you think I'll lie here while you decide what justice looks like, you don't know me at all. The room falls into silence. Axel studies her, the determination in her eyes stronger than the pain in her body. Finally, he mutters, You really are impossible. The door opens, and Logan Kane steps inside. His presence fills the room instantly. Broad shoulders, soaked leather cut, eyes burning with the same fury she remembers from the pier. He stops at the foot of her bed, his gaze locking on hers. For the first time since she's known him, his voice cracks. You should be dead. Sarah holds his stare. But I'm not. Logan exhales, dragging a chair closer. He sits, his elbows on his knees, his hands clasped tight. Dragic's in our custody, bound, broken, but not beaten. He keeps laughing like he knows something we don't. Because he does, Sarah says. He thinks we'll keep treating him like the end of the road, but he's not. He's the middleman. Logan's eyes narrow. Clara Ara said the same. Hayes. Sarah nods slowly. Then let me face him. Let me look Dragic in the eye. I don't care if he mocks me, if he spits in my face. I need him to know I'm not afraid, that everything he tried to break in me is still standing. Logan shakes his head. You're asking me to drag you into the pit with a wolf who's already drawn blood. I've lived in pits before, she says softly. And I've looked worse wolves in the eye. I'm not asking for protection. I'm asking for the right to fight on my own terms. The rain outside batters against the windows, a storm refusing to die. Logan stares at her for a long moment, then finally leans back, his jaw clenched. You don't ask easy things. Sarah's voice hardens. Nothing worth doing is easy. Axel glances between them, shaking his head. You're both insane, perfect for each other. Logan ignores him, his gaze never leaving Sarah. If I let you do this, there's no going back. Once Dragic sees you alive, he'll twist it. He'll turn it into another game. Then I'll break his game, Sarah says. Her voice is steady, her eyes sharp, her body still trembling, but her spirit immovable. For the first time, Logan allows himself a thin smile, not joy but respect. But then we do it together. Later that night, the bikers gather in an abandoned warehouse on the edge of the city. Engines idle outside, their growl echoing off the rusted walls. Inside, Dragic sits chained to a chair, his mask gone, his face bruised, but still carrying that infuriating smirk. He looks up as the doors open, expecting Logan, expecting Axel. What he sees instead freezes his grin. Sarah Maddox steps into the light. Her hospital gown is gone, replaced by jeans and a jacket borrowed from one of the riders. Her side is still bound, her steps careful but deliberate. She stops a few feet from him, her chin lifted, her eyes unwavering. Victor's smirk falters, then twists into a laugh. "They let you walk in here?" The woman who threw herself in front of a bullet, standing on her feet like it never happened. "You should be grateful I didn't finish the job." Sarah's voice cuts through him, sharp as steel. "Grateful? No. Determined? Absolutely." She takes a step closer, her gaze never wavering. "You thought you'd make me weak, but you made me stronger. You thought I'd disappear, but I'm here, and I'll stand in front of Logan every time, because you don't get to decide how this ends. I do." The room pulses with silence. Bikers ring the space, their faces hard, their fists clenched. Logan stands in the shadows, watching, letting Sarah own the moment. Dragic's smile fades, his eyes narrowing. "You think this means anything? Hayes already moves the pieces. You're just a pawn screaming at a player you'll never reach." Sarah leans in, her eyes burning into his. "Then I'll stop being a pawn, and I'll become the piece that flips the board." For the first time, Dragic has no answer. His smirk falters, and silence claims him. The night roars of rust and oil as engines roll into the old industrial district. Towers of skeletal steel rise against the storm, cranes unmoving, warehouses slouched like giants too tired to stand. Logan Kane's convoy spreads across the cracked asphalt, headlamps cutting through mist. Sarah Maddox rides pillion behind Axel, her side bound tight, but her grip steady. She has refused to be left behind. This isn't just Logan's war anymore. It is hers. At the center of it all, Victor Dragic should have been chained and contained. Instead, the back doors of the van swing wide to emptiness, chains severed, locks shattered. The prisoner is gone. The realization rips through the angels like a spark in a powder keg. One of the scouts sprints back, face pale beneath his helmet. "Ambush!" he growls. "They knew we'd come here." The first explosion tears across the lot before the word even dies. A warehouse window blows outward, fireballing into the rain, showering sparks across the convoy. Shadows swarm from the ruins, black-clad enforcers, helmets low, moving with military precision, syndicate troops, not street thugs. Engines rev in answer. The angels swing into formation, chrome and leather snarling as one. Logan raises his hand and points toward the looming factory. "Lock it down," he commands. "Nobody in, nobody out." The riders split into squads, sealing every exit with the thunder of steel. Tires screech against wet concrete as Harleys box in alleyways, engines idling like wolves circling prey. Chains swing loose, fists tighten, eyes burn. Sarah slides off Axel's bike, her boots sinking into the rain-slick asphalt. Pain flares in her ribs, but she stands straight. Logan catches her eye across the chaos, and for a moment, the fury in his face softens into respect. She is hurt, but unbroken, and he knows she belongs here. The syndicate strikes first. Bullets don't fly, too much risk of drawing the city's full wrath. Instead, iron pipes and electrified batons carve the air, meant to crush bone and shatter resolve. They come in waves, disciplined and silent, slamming into the first squad of bikers at the east gate. The clash erupts into sparks and screams as steel meets steel. Chains crack across helmets. Boots drive into armored vests. Men grapple across mud and puddles until the ground itself shakes. Victor Dragic appears above them on a rusted catwalk, rain running off his jacket, smirk flashing white in the dark. He raises his arms wide, as though he owns the chaos below. "Did you really think I was the end of this?" he shouts. "I am the beginning. Hayes sends regards." Logan's fury surges. He mounts his bike and guns it forward, skidding to a stop beneath the catwalk. "You're not the beginning, Dragic," he roars. "You're the bait, and tonight you're finished." The battle expands. Enforcers pour from the warehouses, their boots slamming on metal stairs, chains sparking as they clash with biker steel. The Angels fight back with the ferocity of men who refuse to yield. Engines rev into weapons, tires screeching as bikes slam into armored ranks, knocking soldiers sprawling. Headlights blind, exhaust roars, the night alive with a symphony of rebellion. Sarah fights too. She ducks under a swing, drives her elbow into an attacker's ribs, and snatches a chain from the ground. Pain threatens to pull her down, but she grits through it, her movements sharp and disciplined, muscle memory of a veteran taking over. She cracks the chain across a mask, sparks flying as the man collapses. Another lunges at her, but Axel is there, shoulder-checking the enemy into a steel beam. "You're supposed to be healing," he growls. Sarah's reply is a fierce grin. "This is how I heal." Clara Ara Rhodes arrives in an unmarked car, headlights cutting through smoke. She steps out, trenchcoat flaring, pistol drawn. The bikers don't question her anymore. They know she is part of this fight. She moves through the melee, her voice cutting across comms linked to her precinct. "Units on standby, perimeter locked. Hayes is pulling strings from higher ground. Watch the rooftops." And she is right. From the skeletal cranes, more figures emerge, rappelling lines hissing as syndicate snipers position themselves. They aren't firing yet, but they are watching, waiting for the right moment to tilt the battle. Logan catches sight of them and shouts to his men, "Bring the towers down!" Immediately, riders swarm the crane supports, chains wrapping around steel, engines revving full throttle. Metal groans, bolts scream, and with a thunderous crash, one of the cranes tilts, collapsing into the warehouse. Sparks explode as girders shear, raining debris across the battlefield. The snipers leap for their lives, scattered, neutralized. Victor snarls from his perch, rage twisting his smirk. He bolts deeper into the factory, vanishing into the labyrinth of steel. Logan barks at Axel and Sarah. "With me, we finish this." Inside, the factory is a cathedral of rust, shadows stretching across conveyor belts and skeletal machinery. Rain drips through shattered skylights, pooling in puddles that reflect the chaos outside. Victor's footsteps echo ahead, deliberate, leading them deeper into the trap. Sarah presses a hand to her ribs, but keeps moving. Logan glances back once. "You sure?" She meets his gaze, voice steady. "If this ends tonight, I want to see it." They push forward, Axel clearing corners, Logan steady at the front, Sarah close behind. Victor's laugh echoes from the shadows. "You can't cage me with chains. Hayes built this city's cage long before you ever rolled in on your bikes." Then the floor itself betrays them. With a shriek of steel, a section of catwalk collapses, plunging riders into the machinery pit below. Victor's men swarm from hidden doors, armed with pipes and blades, slamming into Logan's trio with renewed fury. The Angels answer with raw defiance. Logan swings a length of chain like a whip, cracking helmets and dragging enemies to the floor. Axel fights with brutal efficiency, his fists shattering ribs, his boots crushing knees. Sarah wields her chain with precision, ducking and striking, every movement fueled by the bullet still burning in her side. The battle rages across conveyor belts and catwalks, bodies crashing against steel, sparks flying in showers. Engines roar outside. The sound of the remaining bikers forcing their way into the factory, swelling the tide. The syndicate soldiers falter, their discipline cracking under sheer ferocity. Logan climbs the broken stairs 2 at a time, eyes locked on Victor, who stands at the highest platform, rain slicking his hair, defiance in his sneer. Victor raises his arms as though mocking him. Do you think killing me changes anything? Hayes has already written your ending. Logan's reply thunders back. Then I'll tear up his script and write my own. The angels surge, their presence flooding the factory like a tide of steel and fury. 180 bikers press from all sides, their chains, fists, and engines crushing the syndicate's ranks. The circle tightens, Victor's escape routes sealed, the trap he laid snapping back on him. Sarah stumbles but catches herself, sweat mixing with rain, her grip never faltering. Her eyes burn into Victor's, a silent promise. You didn't break me. By dawn, the industrial district is theirs. The syndicate's muscle lies broken, their ambush turned to rubble. Victor Dragic is dragged down from his platform in chains once more. His smirk cracks but doesn't erase. Hayes' name hangs in the air like smoke, heavier than the rain. The war is no longer in shadows. It is out in the open now, and it is only just beginning. The factory is silent now, except for the hiss of cooling steel and the distant rumble of motorcycles idling outside. Rain drums against broken skylights, dripping into puddles that mirror the chaos left behind. Chains lie scattered across the floor, helmets crushed, syndicate soldiers groaning in defeat. The air smells of smoke, rust, and victory. At the center of the wreckage, Victor Dragic kneels, wrists bound in iron, blood and rain streaking down his face. Even chained, even broken, he still finds room for a smirk, his eyes burning with the stubborn pride of a man who refuses to bow. Logan Kane stands nearby, fists clenched at his sides, chest heaving with fury held in check. Axel looms at his shoulder, ready to finish what the night started. But Logan doesn't move. He turns, eyes finding Sarah Maddox. She steps forward slowly, each stride deliberate, boots splashing in shallow puddles. Pain lances through her ribs, but she ignores it. She has waited for this moment since the bullet cut her down. The bikers part to let her pass, their faces solemn, their respect palpable. Victor's smirk widens as she approaches. The hero herself, he drawls, voice thick with contempt. The one who threw her body in front of the king. Tell me, Sarah, did it hurt when you realized it was for nothing? Sarah stops just feet away, her eyes steady, her posture unyielding. I didn't do it for nothing. I did it because I made a choice, and every choice I've made since has led us here, to you on your knees. Victor barks a laugh, bitter and sharp. You think chaining me means you've won. Hayes owns this city. He owns the courts, the cops, the streets. He'll snap his fingers, and all of you vanish. You're fighting an empire with bikes and bravado. Sarah leans closer, her voice quiet but cutting. Maybe Hayes owns the city, but tonight he learns something he's never faced before. He learns what happens when a family chooses to fight. Not for power, not for money, but for each other. That's something he can't buy, can't break, and can't erase. And the smirk falters, if only for a flicker. Victor's eyes narrow, searching for weakness in her, but all he sees is fire. She drops to one knee, bringing herself eye level with him, her voice lowered to a whisper only he can hear. You thought you could make me a victim, but you made me stronger. Every time you laughed, every time you ran, every time you reminded us of Hayes, I remembered the truth. Men like you are just noise, and noise always fades. Victor snarls, straining against the chains. I'm no noise. I'm the future of this city. Sarah shakes her head, rising again to her full height. No, you're the past, and your time ends tonight. Logan steps forward, chain in his hand, offering it to her. The gesture is silent but clear. This is her moment, her choice. Sarah takes it, the heavy links cool in her grip. She walks behind Victor, loops the chain around his shoulders, and pulls him back onto his feet. He staggers, but she keeps him upright, forcing him to face the circle of riders gathered around. Their engines rev low, a growl of judgment vibrating through the factory walls. She raises her voice so all can hear. This man thought he could tear apart a family. He thought fear could break us. But look around him now. Look at the brothers and sisters who stood their ground, who bled, who fought together. He didn't break us. He made us unbreakable. The bikers roar their approval, engines screaming, fists raised. Victor flinches against the sound, his bravado thinning. Sarah leans to his ear one last time. You're finished. Hayes will know your failure by dawn. Then she shoves him forward into the hands of the waiting riders. They drag him down, bind him tighter, his smirk gone, his eyes darting with the realization that his empire has cracked. Logan approaches Sarah, his hand resting lightly on her shoulder. You've done more than save me. You've given all of us a reason to fight harder. Sarah meets his gaze, her voice calm but resolute. Then don't stop here. Dragic was the teeth. Hayes is the head. You cut down one, the other still bites. Finish it. The engines rise again, a thunder of resolve filling the broken factory. Victor's laughter, once mocking, is drowned out completely. For the first time, his noise fades into silence. Sarah stands tall, the pain in her ribs still sharp, but her spirit unshaken. She has faced the man who tried to break her and walked away stronger. The fight isn't over. Hayes still looms ahead like a shadow over the city. But tonight, one truth burns brighter than the storm. Sarah Maddox is no victim. She is the spark of a war the Syndicate will never forget. Dawn breaks over the city with a muted glow, rain-washed streets gleaming like steel. Smoke still rises from the gutted factory, curling into the pale sky as if the battle itself refuses to vanish quietly. Harleys idle at the perimeter, their engines no longer roaring in fury, but humming in solidarity. 180 riders stand as one, leather vests soaked, chains coiled, eyes fixed on the horizon where the night has burned itself out. Inside the ruined shell of the factory, Victor Dragic lies shackled, his smirk gone, his silence heavy. Around him, the angels form a circle, not of vengeance now, but of judgment. Logan Kane stands at the head, rainwater dripping from his cut, his expression a wall of unflinching resolve. But the moment belongs to Sarah Maddox. She emerges from the shadows, ribs bound, body bruised, but posture unbroken. Every rider turns as she steps forward. The echo of her boots on wet steel, louder than thunder had been hours before. For a heartbeat, silence stretches across the cavernous space. Then engines rev low, a growl of respect, a salute to the woman who turned the tide with her sacrifice. Logan lifts his hand, signaling quiet. His voice cuts through the air, gravel and steel. Last night, we were tested. They came for me, and she stood in their way. They thought they'd break us with fear. But because of Sarah Maddox, we're standing here stronger than ever. She didn't just protect me. She protected all of us. She reminded us what family means. The roar that follows shakes the ruins, engines thundering, fists rising. Sarah feels the sound ripple through her chest, fierce and alive. For the first time since the bullet slammed into her side, she allows herself a smile, not of victory, but of belonging. Yet, even as the celebration surges, shadows linger. Clara Ara Rhodes steps into the circle, trench coat whipping in the morning wind, eyes sharp and heavy. She raises her voice, carrying it over the noise. You think this ends with Dragic in chains? Hayes won't allow it. He's already moving. The syndicate isn't broken. It's just started fighting back. The riders grow quiet again, their engines settling into uneasy murmurs. Sarah turns toward Clara Ara. Then we make him answer. Dragic is proof enough of what they're building. Hayes can't hide behind his money forever. Clara Ara shakes her head. You don't know Hayes. He doesn't fight on streets or in alleys. He fights in boardrooms, in courtrooms, in contracts written with invisible ink. He'll make you bleed without ever lifting his hand. Logan steps forward, voice like stone. Then we drag him out of his fortress. He wants to buy this city? Fine. We'll show him it's not for sale. That night, news spreads across the city like wildfire. Social feeds fill with shaky footage of the battle. Headlights glaring through smoke, chains swinging, engines roaring in unison. Clips of Sarah collapsing into Logan's arms, whispering, "Don't let them escape," loop endlessly, igniting conversations in bars, precincts, and households across the city. To many, she is a soldier reborn, a guardian spirit standing shoulder to shoulder with outlaws who refuse to bow. To others, she is proof that something dangerous is brewing beneath the city's polished surface. By morning, a headline flashes across every screen. Female veteran shields Hell's Angels leader in syndicate attack. Survives against all odds. Sarah watches from her hospital bed, disbelief mingling with quiet resolve. She hasn't asked for attention, but she won't run from it either. If her story can become a shield for others, then she'll carry it proudly. Meanwhile, in a skyscraper far above the city, Victor Hayes watches the same footage on a wall of monitors. He stands immaculate in a tailored suit, glass of wine in his hand, the skyline spread behind him. His expression is calm, unreadable, but his eyes burn with cold fury. An aide shifts nervously at his side. Dragic failed. Hayes takes a slow sip of wine, his voice smooth and dangerous. Dragic played his role. Failure was inevitable. What matters is what comes next. He turns to face the aide fully. This woman, Maddox, believes sacrifice makes her strong. She believes family makes them untouchable. But everything can be bought. Everything can be broken. And when I break her, the angels will fall with her. He sets the glass down with a soft click that sounds like a gunshot. Prepare the next move. Back at the hospital, Sarah refuses to stay confined. Within days, she walks out, escorted by bikers who line the entrance, their engines roaring as a salute. Civilians gather on the sidewalks, cheering, holding signs scrawled with words of support. Some call her a hero. Others simply whisper her name with reverence. Clara Ara walks beside her, eyes scanning the crowd, ever cautious. You've become a symbol overnight. That makes you powerful, but it also makes you a target. Sarah nods. Then let them aim. I won't hide. Logan is waiting by the curb, his Harley gleaming under the morning sun. He hands her a helmet, his voice rough but steady. Ride with me. The city needs to see you're not afraid. She takes it, sliding it on with deliberate calm. As she mounts the bike behind him, the crowd erupts, engines thunder, and the convoy rolls forward like a tide of steel and resolve. For weeks afterward, Sarah Maddox's name echoes across the city. She speaks at veteran shelters, at rallies, at meetings with families who've lost loved ones to syndicate violence. Everywhere she goes, the angels follow, not as criminals, but as guardians. Silent walls of chrome and leather standing between her and the world. But Hayes's shadow grows longer. Syndicate money slips into politics, contracts signed under the table, backroom deals greased with fear. Clara Ara brings Logan files thick with proof, but each page carries the same message. Hayes is untouchable by the system. Sarah reads the files and sets them down with a steady hand. Then we stop pretending the system will save us. Hayes wants a war. Let's give him one. The room goes quiet. Logan studies her, seeing not the woman who shielded him, but the leader she is becoming. Axel leans forward, a slow grin spreading across his scarred face. I've followed you through hell once, Sarah. I'll do it again. One by one, the riders nod. Clara Ara doesn't smile, but she doesn't protest either. She simply folds her arms, eyes sharp. If you go after Hayes, you'll be challenging more than a man. You'll be challenging everything he owns. That means the city itself. Sarah meets her gaze without flinching. Then it's time the city learned who really owns it. Sarah, a woman forged in the fires of war and hardened by life's relentless battles, didn't hesitate to risk everything for someone she considered kin. That single act of courage ignited a thunderous response. 180, roaring Harleys charging into the night, not just for vengeance, but for justice, loyalty, and the fierce protection of their own. It's a reminder that true strength isn't found in isolation or self-preservation, but in the bonds we build, the risks we take for others, and the resilience that blooms from pain. Imagine the agony in Sarah's ribs as she rose from the ground, whispering, "Don't let them escape." Her spirit unyielding even as her body faltered. This story tugs at our souls, showing that in a world riddled with shadows, syndicates pulling strings, betrayals lurking in every alley, it's the light of human connection that pierces the darkness. Sarah's journey from victim to victor teaches us that sacrifice isn't a loss. It's a catalyst for transformation. It urges us to reflect. When was the last time you stood for someone, even when the odds screamed against it? In real life, these moments define us, turning ordinary people into legends and fractured groups into unbreakable forces. Whether you're a veteran like Sarah, a rider seeking brotherhood, or someone navigating your own storms, remember, one act of bravery can unleash a revolution. It can heal wounds, topple empires, and inspire generations. Let this story move you to embrace your inner warrior, to protect your family, be it blood or chosen, with unwavering heart. What about you? Have you ever sacrificed for someone you love, or witnessed the power of unity in chaos? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your stories fuel our community. If this tale touched your soul, hit that like button, subscribe for more epic stories of courage and resilience, and turn on notifications so you never miss a ride into the extraordinary. Together, let's keep the thunder rolling.